Einstein once said, "The more I learn, the more I realize how much I don't know." Except he probably never said it, which is funny because thousands of people think he did, and almost no one checks. That tiny moment of misplaced confidence is the perfect introduction to the Dunning-Kruger effect. Most people think this effect is about stupid people, but it's not. It's about what happens when your brain has no way of measuring what it doesn't know. You just got accepted into medical school. Your first class, Physiology 101. You learn what a neuron is and how it works. Honestly, this medicine thing isn't as hard as people made it sound. After a few weeks, you start explaining depression at family dinner. After a month or so, you buy The Psychology of Everything. Friends start asking you questions. And surprisingly, you actually have answers. After a few months, you start giving advice online. You don't need another source. You've got this. Then, you open your first real neuroscience textbook. Hundreds of diseases, thousands of pathways, entire chapters that you assumed you've already mastered, things you've never heard of. Oh, congratulations. You just reached the peak of Mount Stupid, and the fall is going to be rough. You start to realize the huge amount of knowledge that you've been missing. This is the Valley of Despair. You spend some time here, learning, reading. You start asking questions instead of imposing answers. And slowly, you climb your way up on the slope of enlightenment. It takes time, it's not easy, but in the end, you finally reached it. The Plateau of Sustainability. It's not because you know everything, but because you finally know how much there is left to learn. You are now a doctor, but you felt this before. Maybe not in medicine. Maybe the first time you learned about investing, or the first time you read about psychology, or AI, or history. That moment where everything suddenly felt simple, where you thought you finally got it. You've been on that mountain before. You just didn't know it had a name. Every mountain looks small. If you look at it from the bottom, the mountain doesn't matter. You just have to ask yourself, what if you're still at the beginning, and you have absolutely no way of knowing? Most people over-evaluate themselves. In 1999, David Dunning and Justin Kruger gave college students a series of tests. Then they asked a simple question. How well do you think you did? The worst performers thought they did well. They were way too overconfident. And the best performers slightly underestimated themselves. So, that's it. That's the Dunning-Kruger effect. You probably think you've understood it by now. Which is exactly why we need to keep going. See, what's interesting about this problem is that it poses a double burden. Essentially, when you were on the peak of the mountain, there was no way of knowing at that time that you didn't actually know. Dr. Robert D. McIntosh has a saying that I really enjoy. Stupid people are too stupid to know they are stupid. And this happens because of a simple thing, metacognition. In simpler words, your brain has thoughts about your thoughts, like trying to grade its own homework. But the problem is, it doesn't have an answer sheet. And when your brain has nothing to compare those thoughts to, it assumes the best of them. Hence the Dunning-Kruger effect. This creates a massive problem in our century. In 2026, this happens faster than ever. Years ago, people had to spend months becoming overconfident. Today, 3 TikToks can do the job. And the problem isn't you. The problem is that the system is literally built to reward people at the top of the mountain. A creator who says, it depends, it's complicated, I'm not entirely sure, versus one who says, here are the 5 reasons the economy is collapsing next week. Which one gets more views? The algorithm doesn't reward accuracy, it rewards certainty, which means the people who are most confidently wrong are the ones you hear from the most, every single day. And your brain doesn't label them as overconfident, it just absorbs them as normal. So slowly, without noticing, your reference point for knowing something shifts. What used to feel like overconfidence now just feels like having an opinion. And the problem is, the more you see it everywhere else, the less you notice when it's happening to you. Knowing about the Dunning-Kruger effect doesn't protect you from it. You can understand the graph, explain the study, spot it in other people, and still be completely blind to it yourself. Because the real problem was never a lack of information. It's the absence of an objective reference point. Your brain can only measure itself against what it already knows, which means the things you don't know stay invisible. The map has blank spaces, but the map doesn't tell you the spaces are blank. The tragedy of the Dunning-Kruger effect isn't that beginners know very little. It's that beginners feel exactly like experts, which means whenever you are most certain, it might be the time to ask one more question.